Hey everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Today we're going to be looking at Mesmo Delivery by Rafael Grampá. I'm assuming that's how the name is pronounced. It looks like grandpa, it's spelled just like that, but there's an accent on the A. And Rafael Grampá is a Brazilian artist, cartoonist, and this Dark Horse Comics edition of this book came out in 2010. And I think just a year or two earlier, it was first published in Brazil, in Portuguese. And then Ad House Publications did a version, I think. I don't know if it was just maybe two issues, like little issues that like did the story. But Dark Horse collected the whole thing in one nice little slim graphic novel. And I gotta say, I read this last night again for the first time in like a decade. This comic is it's thrilling, this comic. The fact that I'm pretty sure at the time, Grandpa was like a young guy and he's already got skills dripping out of his, whatever, coming out of his pores. I couldn't think of a good metaphor there. But just brilliant stuff. But it's also really dopey. It's just this almost like mixture of like just complete idiotic fun at a savant level of talent. And you can tell by this cover, it's great stuff. Totally unique style. Even though there's definitely some things that it seems like he looks like some other artists here and there, but when all is said and done, he's just got his own complete thing going on. It's a nice little publication. It's got little end flaps. I think Dark Horse knew they had a winner here. Yeah, a few years after this graphic novel kind of took the industry by storm. A few years later, he was drawing The Dark Knight Returns Part 3 with Frank Miller writing. You know, like, this was kind of a sensation when it came out. So Grandpa does everything except the colors are co-colored by Marcus Pena with him, and letters by Rafa Coutinho. We have an introduction from Brian Azzarello, a famous comic book writer. He's basically just creaming all over Grandpa like I'm about to. I love this little like title page. It's almost like the cold opening of a movie, you know? And we see this I love this strange image of a crow holding a human tooth in its beak. Very designy looking crow. Just really interesting. So this is like I said, it's like the cold opening of a movie. Just this weird abstract shit going on. This crow is flying. It's almost like a rock album cover. It's just like it looks cool as hell, but at first we're still confused about what's going on, you know? Like, what is this? We do see these really nice lettering here. Hound dog, crying. We'll see a little later what that means. The letters continue, but they're kind of cut off to make it a little mystery. And then the camera zooms in, and we're ready for the movie to start. And we see this truck, an 18-wheeler, from the company's called Mesmo Delivery. And we see the two truck drivers. First, we just see the top of their heads. And they're just having a fun little conversation. And Grandpa doesn't spare any details. He just draws all this kind of crazy stuff in the background. And we meet our two main characters. Two truckers doing like I don't know what they call it in trucker speak, but you know, they're like teaming up to do this road trip. We got San Greco here, this old Elvis impersonator looking guy. He's even telling you about how much he's more Elvis than Elvis was. And we got Raffo. And Raffo is he's a real truck driver. Also an ex-boxer. San Greco he works for Mesmo Delivery, but he doesn't know how to drive. He's just kind of like the co-pilot, I guess. But look right off the bat, just the beautiful drawing shown here. This is like so many influences. You see like European artists with the lines on his face. I see a lot of Dave Cooper. I'm probably going to mention that a few times. There's a bunch of characters in here that look very Dave Cooper. And just the stippling. It's pretty amazing stuff. All the character designs are so good. Every character is just, it's like great casting in a movie, you know? They have some really fun banter here. I can't read the whole thing to you, but it's definitely well written. So they pull up to this gas station. Standard gas station. And there's like a little cantina inn attached to it. So Rufo goes in, gets some gas and get a drink, take a piss. San Greco stays in the truck. I really like the coloring in here too. Just very, kind of looks like the desert, you know, kind of muted, but it really fits the story. But just so many different shades of like sepia and orange and brown. And so we see inside the tavern, or whatever you want to call it. And we see some local yokels there. And this one guy, the bearded guy, he's bragging to those guys about, I guess he's like a street fighter. To pick up a little extra money on the weekends, he gets in these little brawls. People bet on him, makes a little cash that way. And we see his little girlfriend here, his two buddies and the buddy's girlfriend. So Rafa walks in the door and they turn around. They probably don't even see many strangers here, but talk about strange. Look at the imposing figure that Rafa makes. He's like the Incredible Hulk. But of course, look at this. The stippling here, the little shading. That's so amazing. That is just a horror vacue going on. I just love his face too. You rarely see his eyes because that trucker hat. Just looks like a big dumb lug, which we find out he kind of is. Sorry, I'm going to keep saying this. Dave Cooper. So, Rafael comes out of the bathroom and he orders a glass of milk. The locals over here, and the little renty guy with the other girlfriend, he says, "Here, the baby order his bottle." Baby misses his mommy. And they all start laughing, even the bartender. I like this lettering here, where it's just like showing how loud their laughter seems to him, how it's affecting him. It just takes over the panel as he's drinking his milk. It has such a good sense of scale here. Like even the glass of milk looks so tiny in his hand. This guy's a giant. He barely fits in the world. So the other friend without a girlfriend, he says, "Hey, I'll bet you can't knock that big baby down." And basically they want to set up a little fight and make some money. So the bearded guy, the fighter, the street fighter, his girlfriend goes up to Rafa and makes him an offer. Says, "You knock down my boyfriend, you get $50. And Rafa's like, "I'm in." Once again, amazing character design. Every character is so good in this. Just crazy, like over-the-top cartooning. So this is where it gets weird. So the bearded guy, he has this duffel bag right before they're about to fight. And he opens it up. And then he takes his fist and screws it off his wrist. There's a little attachment on his wrist, like a little linking unit. Then out of the duffel bag, he pulls this giant, ridiculous giant fist. It's like those Hulk fists you can buy at toy stores, and snaps it on his wrist. And there he is. He's ready for the fight. The banter's all pretty good. Tough guy talk. And the fight begins. Man, look how good he is with just the figures here, the figure work. I love this one where basically we find out that Rafa's not a very good fighter, or at least this guy's really good, because he can't connect with him. This guy keeps dodging his blows. And I love this one where, look at that sense of the action there, the swing, where the fist is coming out of the panel. And speed lines, you know. It looks like if that did connect to that guy's face, would be paste. But he's a good fighter. And then he grabs the upper hand and starts totally beating the crap out of Rafa. But just look how the impact, you feel it. This is like nothing like Jack Kirby, but it's got that kind of energy to the action scenes and the fight scenes. It's really exaggerated action. I love this. He hits him so hard that it knocks him off the panel. All we see is his hat flying and this great sound effect. Wham! And then we see him falling over. And he's like half conscious. So he sees himself in his old boxing togs. And then he has this total, instead of like seeing birds tweeting around his head like in cartoons, he sees all these crazy cartoon characters in his semi-conscious state. And they're all just saying, "Get up, you idiot, get up." I guess that's what his old coach used to, or whatever you call it, his trainer. Because I guess this guy maybe lost a lot of fights. There's so many things in here that remind me of other stuff. Like a bunch of these characters look like they could be like Kaz, drawn by Kaz. This almost looks like a Mark Bell little creature. Just really odd. Really fun, cartoony stuff. And then the bearded guy steps on his face. That's pretty brutal looking. That's breaks his nose, it looks like. He's just shoving his foot in his face. This is really interesting. So his word balloon, Rafa's word balloon, basically he's moaning in pain. It looks like this crazy worm. It's just like whatever, crawling out of his mouth, just like really weird. So the girlfriend of the other guy, she's so turned on by watching this macho guy beat up this huge guy. She jumps at his back, she jumps his bones. "I never made it with a winner." And the girlfriend of the bearded guy's like, "Get off of him, he's mine." And this guy's just all like, "Come on. There's more than enough for both of you here." He wants to have a menage a trois. Once again, just showing his playfulness, he just throws in crazy stuff. When he suggests the menage a trois, like his girlfriend says, "Gross." And she sticks her tongue out, and it's huge. Totally looks like a manga face. That like kind of exaggerated shorthand that manga artists do to show various emotions and stuff. But just it's the only thing like that in here that looks like manga. It's just like it looks like he's just taking in all these influences and shitting them out on the page. And the guy without a girlfriend is like, "Oh, I'm at $100." And the poor little runt guy is like, "I'm out of $100 and I lost a hell of a gal." And so all of a sudden we see Rafa waking up. We see his hand turn into a fist. The guy in the bar notices, it's just like, "Oh shit." And we don't even see the wind up to the punch. We just see like a point of view as if the camera was on Rafa's fist heading towards the bearded guy with the woman on his back still. And he says, "Holy hell, duck." And he ducks, but she doesn't. Look at this here. This is so intense. It's like he's punching her in the face, but it's not even a punch is too mild a word. He is demolishing her head, just caving in her skull. It looks like his fist is going all the way through her skull. And everyone's like, holy shit. Here's an interesting effect. The bearded guy's girlfriend, she's got like double eyes, like popping out of her head, a second set of eyes. Almost like a riff on the famous Tex Avery gag with the wolf, with the eye boners. She's like, gasp. And everyone's just in shock for a second. Like, oh my God. She's still on his fist here. She's hanging in the air. We just see her feet. And then she finally drops to the ground. She's obviously dead. And so the bearded guy's like, you son of a bitch. And just starts beating the crap out of him again. And then he hits him so hard and knocks him all the way through the window of the bar. And he lands right in the poor bartender. All whatever, 300-400 pounds of him. So the little runty guy, he's just like, we got 2 killed now. We got to call the cops. He's like, call the cops. Are you fucking crazy? We got to get rid of the bodies. So the bearded guy goes up to the truck, the Mesmo Delivery truck, uses his big fist to just knock the lock off. And he says, we're going to stash the bodies in this rig. And when he opens the door, once again, this just great points of view here. Very, almost like some weird movie. The camera's inside the truck, looking out, seeing the bearded guy. And the truck's completely empty. Now we cut away. We see a flashback. A flashback to when Raffo first got the job. Once again, a point of view shot. It's his employer. About to be his employer. We see his office in the background. We see his hands. And it's almost like as if we're him. So he says, you've driven trucks before? Great. This container can't be opened under any circumstances. You got to sign this contract saying that. And don't ask questions. Trust me, it's not drugs. You won't get in trouble, but you're not to know what's in that cab. So he signs the contract. And he basically says an associate will make the run with you. Talking about San Greco. When the shipment arrives, he'll give you your money. And then we see, back to the present, the bearded guy looks up in shock, or surprise, I should say. And then I love this, how, it's so quick, You don't even know what's going on for a couple panels. We see him fall backwards, almost like he's doing a comic pratfall. We don't see what's going on. And then all of a sudden we see from under the truck, the camera's under the truck, we just see his head bouncing towards his friends. He's been decapitated. It takes the friends like a second to realize the horror of the situation. And they all start screaming. He draws them really cartoony here. I like that. That actually could be a manga thing too. Not necessarily super deformed, but... And then they look up and they're like, what the fuck is this? And the girlfriend is just screaming. And then we see at the top of the truck, it's San Greco just looking down on them. And this shot's crazy. Look at this. I've never seen anything like this in a comic. The point of view shot is from between her legs looking up at the top of the truck, and she's peeing herself. We see the urine going down her leg. And once again, we start seeing those weird, well-drawn letters in the background. They're Elvis Presley lyrics. And so I guess whenever this guy, San Greco, whenever he goes into action, he's got a little soundtrack in his head of great Elvis songs because he loves Elvis so much. Oh, man, this is just magic, these 2 pages. Look at this. So, this whole time we just thought San Greco was some old weirdo, Elvis fan. But I'm spreading this open so you can see the whole spread. Let me adjust the light. Seems like a little too much glare. Look at him go into action. He's like Wolverine and Elektra Assassin and Conan and Daredevil all mixed up into one. I just love that body language there. And that's another great action shot too, him descending upon them. And one of the guys, he decapitates him too with the knives. Everyone goes running, the friends. And then I love this panel. So he's doing this amazing, crazy backflip, like something from a Hong Kong kung fu movie. And the camera's above him, looking down. That is just so great. And he lands right on the little runt guy running away. And look at this craziness. So we zoom into his mouth, screaming, and we see the blade going through his base of his throat. Continues to cut all the way through. And then obviously the head is coming towards us a little, so the camera is zooming in, and we see gushing blood from the neck. The chopped off, the slit neck. That is just, who would even think to do these shots, these camera angles? Crazy. And he totally lands, once again, like a superhero. Does that cool superhero landing. And the girlfriend is running away. She hurts her ankle. She falls over. And we see some crows flying around here. And slowly walks up to the girlfriend. More Elvis lyrics. Close your mouth and baby. It's all cut off. It's kind of weird. So you don't know. I'm not sure what Elvis song that is. She says, no, I can do whatever you want. He just wants to kill her. Stabs her right in the eye. And then he twists the blade and slices all the way through so the top of her head comes off. The mouth up. And I like that sound effect. Shing, shack. The visualness of it. And he stands up, licking his blade. Like a total psycho badass. Oh, man. Those 5 pages are worth the price of admission right there. So back in the bar, the bartender is slowly gotten out from under Rufo's bulk. And he runs to the phone. He's going to call the cops. And San Greco's already in there. Stabs his hand right through the phone. Right through to the phone, I meant to say. So he's pinned. And he just calmly sits down and says, give me a beer. He's like, please, I didn't see anything. And he says, how'd you like my performance? And the bartender's like, I didn't see anything, I swear. He says, what do you mean you ain't seen a thing? Where's my beer? He says, fuck you. Then we find out a little bit about San Greco. He says, I've made my peace with the fact there's no audience for my art. But hell, I miss being appreciated. I miss the applause. But it ain't the man picks his art. It's the art what picks the man. And the one picked me's the most spiteful of all because there's no audience, no recognition. And he grabs the beer from the guy's hand. I've never even seen anything like this in my life. He sticks it in his eye socket and he uses it like a church key to pop the top off the bottle. His eyeball comes out. The bottle cap is flying off into the air. Oh, man. That's fucking gnarly. And he kills him. And this page is nuts. So he drags the body out, the decapitated body, back to the truck. While he's doing that, we see a cutaway underground. And look at this. It's the devil. This giant, very goofy version of the devil. Looks like something almost like Maurice Sendak's version of the devil. Just very odd design. And then we get this amazing flora. This is either the flowers of hell or something. These weird, bizarre flora and this weird insect. As if maybe that's what grows in hell. I don't know why it's there. It's a beautiful design flourish, whatever it is. It doesn't really need a reason. This is a crazy comic. Who cares or who knows? But that's just so funny to me. He's like licking his lips and wringing his hands in anticipation. And then once again showing Rafael Grampá is just totally playful. He says, "We'll be right back with Mesmo Delivery." As if it's a TV show you're watching. And he has an ad for Standard, the gas station. And for some beer, drink Solave Coagula. And then it says, "We're back with Mesmo Delivery." So a little commercial break there. So we see Sangreco throwing all the dead bodies into the back of his truck. And he closes the door. He goes back in the bar. Just look at the illustration here is so great on his face. All the wrinkles and pockmarks. And he's got a lived-in face, this guy. Every whisker drawn. Such a nice ink line. So then he spits beer on Rafa's face to wake him up. And then we cut back to another flashback, an even earlier flashback. We see Sangreco getting his assignment. Same office, same point of view of the boss. And he's basically saying, I got to put you in charge. I got a truck driver. You'll be supervising him, whatever, be his partner. And the problem is that the new guy cannot know what the deal is. And Sangreco says, "How am I supposed to get these folks down the road in the truck without the driver catching on?" And he says, "Calm yourself. He signed a contract. He won't open the container. He's in the dark and he doesn't care." I like this. The boss gives him shit for not learning how to drive. It's like, yeah, we wouldn't have to have a truck driver if you could just get a fucking license. And he says, "You want me to do everything? An artist cannot be his own chauffeur." So he definitely considers himself an artist. I mean, after seeing those 5 pages of his action, it's like, I would agree. So now back to the present. We see the beer land on Rufo's face. Man, this looks like some, if you saw this panel out of context, you didn't know the story. What the hell are we looking at here? It's like Popeye's chin with tons of stubble. Amazing amount of line work in that stubble. His face is so bashed in, you can barely tell what it is. So he wakes up and picks up his hat. And he looks at his fist, his hand, and that a human tooth is in it from the woman that he obliterated her face. It's stuck in his fist. He flicks it off to the side of the road, and he gets in the truck. Sangreco plays as if he never woke up. And he's been passed out, the whole time, Rufo. So he's just so like, "You sleep tight?" God, such good drawing. There's so many different influences. That guy, Tayyar Oksan, I think he's from Eastern Europe. Did some stuff for heavy metal. There's even scenes where just the shading, the weird kind of stippling. I even see like Howard Cruz's weird stippling he did in Stuck Rubber Baby. But that was kind of bizarre looking. This is actually done better. But I just see all these weird little influences. So we see the crow. Again, that designy crow. It's like a Judas Priest cover. And then we see one more little flashback. San Greco's in the office of the employer. And he says, enough complaining. You will have part of your job done for you right from the start. Or hasn't it dawned on you? The driver is part of the shipment. And San Greco says, first time I seen cargo that drives itself. And now we cut back to the present. And we see the crow pick up the tooth and fly off. So that's all wraps it up in a nice little bow. And then once again, a nice little, just graphically amazing final page. I do like how it says the end, like it is a little mini movie we just saw. So I think there was something in the notes about how Rafael Grampá, I guess, really loved the Twilight Zone as a kid. And so this is obviously a very nebulous plot, but it's okay. This is what I take from it, that it's almost like Highway to Hell. That I think the movie was like that, where these guys, I guess, are trucking souls to the devil, and unfortunately, Rafa's going to end up with them. He's part of the shipment. So, but I'm not sure, and to be honest, it really doesn't matter. It's a MacGuffin. The whole thing of this is just the visceral, thrilling fun of this comic. This is just like everything you love about comics. And this is got in spades. It's, like it's crude and it's rude and a little bit lewd, but man, it is brilliantly done, even though it's very goofy. We got some bonus features here. These are pretty nice. Some all-star pinups, famous comic artists. We got Mike Allred of Madman fame. A little lukewarm on that one. Those are very nice colors. Probably Laura Allred. Eduardo Riso. That's a nice one. Very Sin City-ish. Very Frank Miller. It was weird because sometimes, like I said, I see many influences in Grampá's art. Some of the faces reminded me of Riso. Or Riso. That's a nice one, though. Oh, I really like this one. It's Craig Thompson of Blankets fame. And just a very symbolic representation of the story. Unlike other crows, got one of San Greco's blades and a bottle of milk to represent Raffo. Or Rufo? If I've been saying it wrong the whole time, I don't know. Fabio Moon, Grampá's countryman from Brazil. And nice little black and white drawing, just showing a scene from the story from a different point of view. Making of Mesmo Delivery. We see the original cover from the Ad House edition. Some nice sketches. Trying to figure out how San Greco should look. I like how he drew a young, handsome Elvis and then aged it, All the paths the face could have taken, he kind of explored. He says that he actually made San Greco to be a visual mix of Elvis and Iggy Pop, which I guess I can kind of see there. Here's some thumbnails. That's pretty odd. Not quite there yet. Doing some character study stuff. And pretty close, except he made him even older in the comic. Gave him all that white hair. And now we get to Rufo. Man, I love Rufo's design. I wish there was a 50 comics about Rufo. He looks like he's pretty defined pretty early on. Doesn't change much. This is what I was talking about. Reminds me of Dave Cooper, the face, but that stippling totally reminds me of Stuck Rubber Baby, that Howard Cruz graphic novel. That kind of, it's almost, I don't know what the word is. It's just very different kind of stippling. I love this little one. Over his red line pencils. Like you can still see the colored pencil. I like that. And here's the townies. Here's that bearded guy. I love the design of this guy. That's another, just by his design, I want to see 50 comics of him. He just has character, you know? Working out some fight scenes here. This was an alternate idea for the panel where he gets knocked out and sees the cartoon characters. And looks totally like Astro Boy in there. Maybe he didn't want to get sued. This is nice. He said he just started drawing San Greco, and all of a sudden this whole crazy page came out of him. I gotta find more stuff by this guy. I don't know what the hell's my problem. That I read this, like I said, you know, a decade ago. Blown away then, just as I'm blown away now. But I'm just always so broke. I can't just go like buying stuff, you know, just I wait till it comes to me cheap. But man, I want more of his stuff, especially this. This is exciting. If he did a comic more like this, just like a zany Fantagraphics type comic. Oh, that's good stuff. And we have a little bio here. And look at this. Look at the skills this motherfucker's got. You know, there's obviously not like they are in the book. Very photorealistic. Well, pointillist. But man, that's some accomplished shit. And still pretty young guy. And there's the back cover. So there you have it, guys. Mesmo Delivery by Rafael Grampá. I recommend this highly. I had such a good time last night rereading this. I was chuckling out loud a bunch of times. Just how crazy his artwork is. How crazy good, though. I mean, crazy great. He's, nobody draws quite like him. Even though I see all these influences in it, it's definitely his own shit going on. And I just love it's almost got this underground comics energy to it, but just so accomplished graphically and just a nut story, but fun as hell. The whole thing's really well written. The dialogue is all pretty funny and clever. So I hope you can find this. I hope you do find it and enjoy it as much as I do. And I also hope that you return to see me next time here at the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies.